Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. I hope to earn your subscription today. Today, we're going to talk about swimlanes.io, which is a great tool that will help your AI to be able to visualize the code it's seeing. For instance, if you're looking at an old code base and want to understand how it works, it can create a swim lane diagram or a sequence diagram. It's also really simple. So if you're working with humans, you can keep up with them. There are plugins that allow you to see swim lanes diagrams in your IDE because it's a text-based diagram. So I'll see you on the other side. So what we're going to do is we are going to model an HTTP call to a web service. Very simple model view controller. The order we're going to do this, we're going to talk about the very basics first. We're going to do that so people who just want to get into using it can do it very quickly. And then we're going to go through each of those basic elements and break them down so that you have a much fuller understanding of each one. When we're done with that, we'll get into some of the advanced features, things like order, auto number, putting a delay in there, those kinds of things. And we're going to end talking about the aliases, which is a terrific way to be able to save you time while typing. So let's get into it. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go to swimlanes.io. So now this gives you an example of what a swim lanes document looks like, and it gives you a very simple description. Now, if you want the full syntax overview, as you'll see here, there is a full syntax overview link on this page. It'll go over the same material I am, except for I'm going to show you how to use it and help you get through the confusing parts. Let's start off by getting a blank diagram. I'm going to delete everything but the title. There is a title here, and you can go ahead and change that. We will say, we'll call this our Make Money app. Now, our Make Money app has a user. So we'll start with a user, and we'll just do an arrow pointing to the, let's say, get order controller. Get order controller. All right, I'm going to colon and bam, there's a diagram. Now what you'll notice here is the diagram and the text match. The user points to get order controller, and then as soon as there's a colon, anything you type after that colon is the text for the element we created, and we created the line connecting the two. So if at this point we want to say user calls service using browser. All right, that's good enough. And then we want to say the get order controller. It's going to call, let's see, the get order service. Get order service. Yeah, it's not registering it. There's something confusing it. Oh, all right. We use arrows here. All right, get order controller calls the get order service. And I'm actually going to shorten this because it's very wordy. Browser call here, and we're going to say get order. And I actually would prefer to call this just the order controller because it's an order controller, not a get order controller. All right, order controller, get order, that makes more sense. But now you'll notice the diagram's messed up. And that's because we have a user going to the order controller right here, and then we have the get order controller still worded in here. We need to get rid of the word get, and then it draws it correctly. So that's the basics to draw an arrow and connect the different pieces. Now I'm going to quickly build the rest of the service, calling the repository and then the database, and then I'll be right back. Okay, now we've actually called all these in order, but we want to draw arrows going back. We're going to do it going backwards, but instead of drawing the arrow the wrong direction, like like this, that's not going to work. It's going to complain. It worked. All right. You can also do it the other way around. See, I'm learning here as we go. I tried this before and it didn't work. You can go the other direction, say database points to or to repository, and that also works. So it just matters that you've got one feature pointing to the other. I'm going to go ahead and just say return. I'm going to speed ahead and do all of this. I do like the idea of having the arrow pointing the other direction. So I'm going to go ahead and change that. So really quick, let's review what we have here. Just simply type the name of the actor, the user, or here the user, an arrow pointing to the next actor, and then a colon, and following the colon is the text. Let's go ahead and create a note in here. And after the note, we'll go ahead and put it right here. And we'll do a note, whoops, if I can type, saying database must not have any nulls. To make a note, you just type the word note, colon, and the words for the note. And you'll notice it sticks it right in between the two values here, right where it is on this page. We have all of this cool stuff here. We want to do something else as well. We are going to copy this, and I'm going to move down a little bit and put it here. Only this time, we're going to tweak it a little bit. Instead of calling get order, he's going to call create order. All right, and we will create an order here. And insert, we'll create an insert statement there. Go ahead and put a divider line in here. All you do is an underscore and a colon, and bam, there's a line. And now we can say here, create order flow. And our diagram copies that. And using the same concept here, we can come up here. And instead of a create, this is a get order flow. What happens if there's an error here? We're going to have the service catch our error. So I want to go just above this line here. And we're going to create an if statement. To do this, you simply type if, and you notice immediately it draws an if box. Now we're going to say success after a colon, just like everywhere else. And that says if success, that, else, failure. So again, we have the two flows, but we really don't, this create order flow is not part of this else. So we're going to just go here and say end. Now we have our failure box. We just need to put the logic in there. What to do if there's a failure. Order controller, order service, earn error, and then user, order controller, turn error page. And I think there's something wrong there because this arrow is going all the way across to order controller. Oh, because I spelled order controller wrong, I'm sure. If I spell it right, it gets it right. I want to create a group very similar to the if, but we want to just take a section of code and label it here. So I'm going to say group, and we're going to give the group a name. I wrote this. When we come to the end, just say end. Okay, we're going to start talking about arrow variations. Let's tweak the arrow shape. And we'll look right here at this browser call, the very first one. And this arrow here, if we add a second arrow next to it, then the arrow becomes the open arrow as opposed to this closed arrow. Now we're going to tweak it again, and this get order here. Actually, let's come down to the return values. I really want those to be dashed lines. Oh, we're getting ahead of myself. We're still talking about the arrow types. I'll show you anyway. Use a double dash and it makes it a dashed line return. We'll get into that again in a moment. But anyway, okay, so up here you have the other arrow that we can do is the bidirectional arrow. Let's say we didn't want to put the arrow going one way and then all these return values coming back. We could just use bidirectional arrows. If we want to just add the arrow the other way, it becomes a bidirectional arrow. Very simple. I've already shown that the dashes in the double dash there will make your return arrow a dashed line. So those are all now dashed lines going back. The next thing we're going to do is let's change the thickness of the line. So we are going to come back up here to this call, and for some reason we want to emphasize this is the most important. I'm going to go ahead and do wrong key, equals. Now the equal makes it a heavy line. In our next segment, we're going to talk about how to vary the messages, the wording, the text. See on the other side. If we want to make the word browser called, want to make it italic, we just put an asterisk on either side of it. And now browser call is in italics. If we do a double asterisk, it's in bold. We can also do a strike through by using the tilde twice, which is that squiggly symbol. Now it's strike through. So it looks like you've changed your mind. You want to document that. One other thing, and you can do this here, but it makes more sense in the code block, in the comment. Let's say here, use this code. And then you can say a single back tick and say select star from table, back tick. And now it's in a code block. So there are several things you can do with the note. The first thing you'll notice is this note is placed immediately underneath the element that precedes it. So if we move the note up to here, then you'll notice the note is immediately under that. I don't like that though. I would like it to be in a different spot. So what I'm going to do is after the word note, I'm going to say I want this under user, but I don't want it just under user. I want it to stretch across from user to order service. I'll do a comma, order service, and then it stretches across from user to order service. Now, sometimes people will throw something in here like the word left, and they think that it's sliding everything to the left and left justifying, but it really doesn't matter what you type here. It's going to go end to end unless you type one of these column, the actor names. So if I type X, it's going to do the same thing. Or you can go user database. You can create an ordered list. So while we're here on this note, you just say 1 dot space. And when you start typing, it moves it down. So we'll say 1, 2 dot space, 2, 3 dot space, 3. And you can see it's creating an ordered list over here, which is helpful. If you want it to be an unordered list, you can use an asterisk, 1, an asterisk, 2, or for some of us, it's just easier to type a hyphen, 3. And all three of these do the exact same thing here and add your ordered list. Let's add a link. Now there's a couple things we can do to add a link here. It's as simple as saying www.mydatabasecode.com. And of course you see the link right here. But let's say you don't want it to display the full URL. To do that, you put a bracket and say, click here, end bracket. And then you want to put parentheses around your URL. And you have your click here link. And of course, we've already shown you the code block, but in case somebody is skipping ahead to this section Code block is done just simply by putting a backtick and my code block and another backtick, and it puts your code in a code, put your words in a code block. Now I'm curious, what if we use the apostrophe instead? It doesn't, it has to be a backtick. Okay, well, I've learned something else. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about if and group variations. We've already pretty much covered that. Only one thing to show you there. Let's see, if failure, okay, and we want a third option. We just simply can say else, third option. So you can see it puts the third option here. So the next thing that we're going to talk about then is varying the divider line. That's not standing out very much. So I've already said we can add any of our text control to this and make it bold, but I want to change the thickness of the line. So instead of using the underscore, if I just use a hyphen, it becomes a thicker line. Now this does not work with the arrows. This only works with the divider lines, but you can go even thicker than that with the equal sign. Now the equal sign is how we made this line thicker. That's all there is with the line variations. Now we can get into some of the more interesting features. The next thing we're going to talk about is auto numbering. Auto numbering basically puts a number on each of your calls so you can refer to it in documentation or when talking with your team. Now to do that, you just add the word auto number and it automatically numbers everything. So you can now refer to call 11 or 13 and make it clear. This auto number, though, is interesting because it doesn't have to be at the beginning of your document. You can stick it right in the middle of something, and it does the exact same thing across the whole page. So the next thing we're going to talk about is order. So the order command allows you to change the order of the columns. So let's say I wanted to switch user and order controller. So if I do order, followed by a colon, and I say order controller, as soon as I do that, it knows, oh, I want this order controller first. So it switches it. And then I can say user, and I can continue on and say order repository, and they'll switch those there. So you can see it's doing things just in whatever order I put them in. The next thing we're going to get into is to put a delay in the flow. So if you're going through this code flow here, and the create order happens later, and you want to put a delay in here, then let's go right here after this end, and we're going to do a delay. So I do the word delay, and then we can type some text. Wait for eternity. That does not seem to be working. I guess I'm getting too used to this syntax. The actual syntax is just 3 dots, followed by the colon and whatever your weight is. And then it puts the delay in there. You notice it's made dashed lines between each of these. You can put your comment in there to do your delay. We're going to talk about something that's kind of fun. We're going to talk about Font Awesome. Font Awesome is a website, first of all, with fontawesome.com, and it has all of these icons that you can go ahead and stick into your diagram. Now, you actually need to go to the icons tab here, and then you can see all these icon packs. And we're going to go ahead and just click on this basic set here and select free, because not all of these are free. There are some paid options. But we have our circle user, we have our user. We'll use user in a minute. There's a few others that are interesting. For now, let's play with truck because trucks are cool. So let's come back to our Make Money app, and we're going to add into our comment here. Let's go ahead and add a truck. All we have to do is in squiggly brackets, we say font awesome hyphen truck. And instantly there's a little truck in our node. Now this can be added to other areas of the code as well. Here I have our user, order controller, not just in the text area. So browser call, font awesome hyphen truck. And now there's a truck calling our browser. So that's pretty cool. Now let's tweak this a little bit because our font awesome is great, but we want to be able to draw it differently. So what we're going to do, now it's already a solid truck. It's all filled in. Normally, if it's not, you can type an S there, and that will make it a solid truck. But to give you an example, if I type an R, then it's a regular truck. And there's your truck without it being filled in. If I type an L, it's a light truck. It's even drawn thinner lines. And then finally, I can do duotone. And you'll notice right now, everything's all the same tone. Everything's all solid black lines. I do duotone, you end up with these gray wheels. So it's this one letter here helps you control what you're drawing here. And I like the light truck. Now, I don't like the size of that truck though. So let's tweak the size. And we're going to do that with a separate attribute within these squiggly brackets. And we'll say font awesome. And now we'll do LG, large. Now you can see it's much bigger, but it's still not big enough. So I want to do 2x. Now it's big enough. Or if we want to go the other way, there's our normal truck, SM, and it's even smaller. So when you see these hieroglyphic symbols in here, that's what they're doing, is they're describing the icon that you're going to stick in. The next thing we're going to talk about is the thing that's going to save you the most time, and that is aliases. Now, aliases are they can only be used with the actors, just these boxes at the top and the bottom. So to create an alias, let's say I have a user here, and I want to create an alias for this user. So we are going to say user, now we're going to say alias, colon, space, user, colon, my best friend. Well, you didn't see anything happen, and it's erroring out. See if we can find out why. Oh, colon space, my best friend. There we go. And now it's going to accept it. And that space is important. It will mess up without it. So now, what did that do? It's changed what this looks like. Everywhere it sees the word user in one of these, it changes it to something longer. Now, that's not necessarily awesome unless you want it to look better. But if, for instance, you're doing order controller, you can do alias OC colon space order controller. Now that didn't do anything and it's erroring out, but this time I knew it was going to happen. The problem is this first column has to be what the actual name is. The second is what you're going to call it. So for this to be useful, I can go up here everywhere in the script where it says order controller and change it to OC. Now that I've done that, it still looks as order controller and it looks like it originally did. But if I had done that in the beginning, you could see how much easier it would be to type. Order service could be OS. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, but I'm not going to make you wait. Okay, now everything looks like it's back to normal. But you can see how much easier this would be to type. I guess I could make the database just DB as well and make that easier. And I don't really want this user my best friend. That was an example, but it's not really serving a purpose. So you can see how useful alias would be. Now there's something else really cool you can do with the alias. The user here, we're going to go ahead and throw a font awesome, solid, and we're going to go database. Well, I like the way it spelled it. And then we're going to go font awesome, large, 2x. We'll go ahead and do that. No, it's database. I want user, sorry. User. And you can see it's changed our user to a user icon. We can do the same thing with the database. In fact, why don't we do a little more and just say here, user. Now it even has the word user and the icon. And we can do the same here with alias, database, and it's not replacing it with a database, probably because what I want is the lowercase. Okay, there we go. There we go. So we've gone ahead and stuck our icons in there, made it a little more cool as well. Since a picture's worth 1,000 words, wouldn't it be nice if your AI coding assistant, like GitHub Copilot or Claude Code, could just show you what changes it has made or is going to make to your code? Wouldn't this be easier than just communicating through chat? So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that video when it comes out. And also look for a tutorial to help you master Claude Code. It's my mission to provide you with content that will help you be able to make the 10x developer myth become a reality in your life.